Good morning, everybody. This is Isabelle Gabory at the Wildfire and Wax Studio for our weekly Facebook Live entitled Fire Paint with Me. Okay, I'm just gonna wait a little bit to see who's turning up today. Today's session, some questions that you guys have been asking me a lot, more so for people who are interested into encaustic painting, or who are actually already doing it or participating to workshops or things like that, is, okay, beeswax. What do I get? Where do I get it? There are so many different terms attached to the different beeswax that you can find. You got refined, you got unrefined, you got filtered, bleached. I mean, so many terms. It gets so bloody confusing. And even myself, when I actually started encaustic, I was, what the hell is that all about? Again, it's one of those things where I wish somebody had basically done something like I'm doing today, and basically try to explain all those little terms and basically where to get it. I mean, mostly in Ireland, I find it extremely difficult to get beeswax. Hi Les, how are you? It's very, very difficult. There's only a few suppliers around, and beeswax is far more and more expensive as it goes. I would say maybe it's because of the less and less bees, so less and less production of the beeswax. Yeah, it is not a cheap medium. So yeah, now most hi Les, how are you? I'm good, I'm very good. It's Good Friday today. I don't know if you know these things in Ireland. Good Fridays, I don't know. Anyway, so beeswax. I'm going to start now because I don't want to leave it too long. I've got bits and bobs to do. I'm back to the studio, so I'm painting like a mad woman. Now, what is beeswax? Beeswax basically is the secretion that is produced by the honeybee. And actually, it's actually white, and that there is a common belief that the yellow beeswax is the purest wax that you can find. However, the secretion that those bees are doing is actually white, and they're basically using it for the beehives, for the building of the beehive. Okay, so this is the most essential ingredient that you need for your encaustic work. Okay, encaustic painting. Now there's a lot of politics about this in the encaustic world, something I try not to get too involved into, but something to be aware of. Encaustic painting is made with beeswax and damar resin. Now that is what we call the encaustic medium. So people say, okay, what is the encaustic medium? Well, it's very simple. Encaustic medium is basically beeswax, pure beeswax, and damar resin, which I have here. I've got a big bag of it. Look at this, I just received this. Now the damar resin, very quickly, you buy it in crystal forms. Okay, can you see it like this? All right, now do not get the liquid damar. I think oil painters use it to prime their boards. When you are actually doing the encaustic medium, you have to buy it like this. It's like myrrh and frankincense, and it smells just beautiful. This is basically the sap of a tree, a fir tree. Indonesia, China, Japan, this part of the world. Okay, so you buy it like this in its crystal form. Okay, and basically I'm going to go into the whole making of the encaustic medium another time, but you are basically mixing a ratio of about 15-20% of damar resin to about 80%, 85% of beeswax, and you basically melt them together and then you have to filter that. But I will go into making medium another day, okay? And we'll make it for you. So this is the damar. Now, why do people, that's another question that came up as well. I'm going to answer some questions as well as I go along. Why do we add damar to the encaustic medium? Well, basically beeswax, when you actually melt the beeswax, I think it's 145 degrees or something like this to actually reach melting point. Now, if you add the damar to it, it basically is going to raise the temperature point for your encaustic medium. So you can go to 185 to 100 degrees, not more. You remember we talked about that. Don't go past that, because that could first of all produce fumes which are dangerous for you, but also that would also alter the integrity of the medium. Okay, so that's, plus the damar is added to the encaustic medium to add sheer to it, and also to enhance the transparency of your work. So you know the way we work in layers, one layer after the other. So basically when one layer cools, you can basically see it's transparent, the other layer, and you can actually play with those layers. And that is basically the beauty of the encaustic work, I find, is the transparency and the way you have that thin veils of paint, whatever color you use or whatever ratio you use, or if you use photo encaustic under, you know. And I think that's just beautiful to see. So, like, I mean, you see images of encaustic work, but you need to go and see them for real if you can. Go if there's an encaustic exhibition where you live or wherever you're visiting. Seeing them for real is very different than actually taking a picture or seeing a picture online. Can I ask you what ratio to was you use to damar? Oh, for the encaustic medium. For the encaustic medium, it's about 8 to 1. So I would say about 20%. So if you use a kilo of beeswax, I mean, when you do the medium, try to I always make about 5 kilos at a time. I know it's a lot, but I use a lot in my workshops and in my own work, because I work big sometimes. So usually, so if you use, for example, 1 kilo of beeswax, you would use then 200 grams of damar. Does this answer your question, Les? Yeah, about. Now, some people put about 15, 10% minimum, 30% max. Now, the more damar you would add to this, and the more brittle your painting will be, okay? You don't want to make it too brittle because it will crack. So a safe one would be about 20%. Yep. Okay, so that was a very quick one about the damar, and say, wow, why do you have damar? What's going on here? And some encaustic artists say, look, you know, some people use pure beeswax into their work, and a lot of encaustic artists say, no, this is not encaustic. You're welcome, Les. This is not encaustic. Encaustic involves pure beeswax, damar, and pigments, natural pigments, which we'll go into another time, or maybe after if I've got a bit of time. Okay. Now, then you have the unrefined and a refined beeswax, okay? Now, do you remember I just talked about the beeswax, the secretion from the bees, when they create that secretion, the wax, it's actually naturally white. And the reason why it becomes yellow, like this one here, okay? Now, I do not have some unrefined beeswax here. This one has been refined, but the reason why it becomes yellow, it's because of all the debris that are actually in the hives. Could it be pollen, propolis, debris, any little things that you can find in the beehive will actually turn the beeswax yellow. I mean, you can find some beeswax that are really, really, really dark, almost like a red color or brown. Try to Google it now. I do not have any in the studio, but some people sometimes bring me, a lot of people coming from my workshop actually do have their own beehives, and they bring these blocks of unrefined beeswax, and they are just pure beautiful. But if you look at them, there's a lot of debris, and the colors may change radically from pale yellow to really, really dark brown. So this will be the unrefined beeswax. Now, you need to refine it because you need to remove those debris, okay? And the refined beeswax is the one that we use in encaustic, okay? So it needs to go through a filtering process. Now, some people also use the yellow beeswax, like these guys here, into their work, okay? There are times when I use it when I want to, for example, 2-3 years ago, I don't remember when it was now, I did an exhibition called Alchemy. So all the works that I did were a lot of gold, a lot of red, a lot of yellows, you know, very warm. Now I've used, and I made cakes. Cakes are basically, sorry, I'm going very fast. Cakes are basically the medium, like this. You pour the medium when it's been filtered into little muffin tin, and they are very easy to melt. Okay, these are cakes. So when I talk about cakes, these are not, you know, something that you can eat. Please don't. Okay, so this is the medium. Okay, all right. Where was I going with that? Yes. So if you want to use the yellow beeswax, you have to be aware that the color, the golden glow of that particular beeswax may alter over time, okay? It may, especially if it's been exposed to light, to sunlight, things like that, something that I wouldn't really advise. You treat your encaustic like a watercolor, okay? But it might discolor over time, so it's something to be aware of. So that's the reason why most of the encaustic artists actually used the one that has been filtered. Okay. Now, so this is the beeswax that I use, and I would say most people use. Now I've seen some of you here encaustic artists, so please give me your experience of the wax, because the more we talk about it, the better it is, and more information we can get on. Hi Neve! Hi Neve, how are you getting on? Yes, so please jump in, because I'm talking about beeswax today, and it'd be great to know what you use, and you know, things like that, and you know, so lovely to see you, lovely to have you here. So basically the white beeswax here is the one that we use, okay? This one has gone through a discoloration process, okay, i.e. it has been filtered, okay? Now there's a various filtration process that you need to be aware. Okay, when you buy beeswax, okay, you have to read the small print. Now beeswax is not cheap, okay? I would say if you go to small suppliers, it will be about 15, 20 euro, even more for a kilo, okay? Now you can go online, and then you can find with beeswax for like 5 euro, something ridiculous like that, right? Please read the small line. Small prints are always good, because you might say, oh, pure beeswax, la la la, and then if you look at the small print, you can see that it's been mixed in with soy, paraffin, and other things, that you will have maybe a ratio, maybe 5% of beeswax, and this is not what you want. What you want to use, beeswax in its purest form, okay? Now, there's a different way to basically get this color, okay? Now, the one to be avoided is the bleached beeswax, and this is something that also you need to, when you buy your beeswax, to basically pay attention to, okay? i.e. it has gone through a chemical process, okay? And now that chemical process, somebody is trying to talk to me. Yes, Neve. That chemical process, not only, it doesn't remove basically the color, it masks the color, okay? So that means that the works that you are going to do with that particular beeswax might yellow over time, all right? Am I getting you here? So stay away from the bleach one, and plus it's been going through this bleach highly chemical process, so stay away from this. Now there's beeswax that you can find. Now this one will be more expensive, and it has gone through a it's been sun bleached. Now this is something that you can do yourself. I don't know if you can do it in Ireland, not on days like today, but basically it's being put under the sunlight, and basically that will basically remove the color. Okay, so the filtered beeswax, as I said and I repeat, is the best one. Okay, now how is it filtered? It's basically, they've got those filters, and basically they have this high pressure. The beeswax is being basically high pressured through those filters, and this removes the color. That's basically it. And any types of debris, and you know, if you actually have hives, you get little bee wings and various bits and bobs, this basically goes away. Yeah? Do you have questions? I think I've seen something going on earlier, but I don't know if I can go wrong. On a tray on a window. And do you manage, because you are in the north of Ireland, do you manage to actually do that? I should have a go, because I have these guys here and I always bring them to workshops to show to people the different beeswax. However, I don't really use it. I mean, I've got cakes there, but you know, I'm a bit scared because if this color, then the painting will change. I might try this. Just have a go. Thanks, Neve. That's a really cool idea. Little experimentations going on here. Now, you may also come across another type of beeswax, which is called pharmaceutical grade. Okay, now the name is pretty self-explanatory. It is basically a beeswax that's been certified by the government or by some official body that is pure beeswax. There's nothing has been added to it, and that it can be used in the cosmetic industry, like for example, you know, if people are doing face creams and ointments and things like this. So you can also find pharmaceutical grade beeswax. Now this one might be a bit more expensive, obviously, because it needs to be certified and so on and so forth. And also you need, again, when you buy this beeswax, you need to make sure that whatever filtering process it has gone through, okay? Has it been bleached? Has it been filtered naturally? Has it been sun bleached? Sun bleach would be very expensive, okay? So again, this is something that you need to be aware of. That is about it, really, about the beeswax. So just to recap, you have the refined beeswax and unrefined. Unrefined is basically what is before this, i.e. it's like a block, and they're very brown or reddish color, very meaty, and there's bits in it, okay? So basically it's been, the coloration is gained from whatever is going on in the beehive, okay? Then it's been refined, and then you have it like this. So here the filtration process as that you can have will be sun bleached, like Neve has done successfully. So not bleach, sorry, sun bleached. Bleach, we want to avoid that process because it's highly chemical, and proper filtration process, okay? And then you would have the pharmaceutical grade, which you know is pure beeswax. Now, I know that some artists work on, this is something I do not know, I do not do, so I don't know anything about it, but some people tell me about it during the workshop. Some people work on canvases, and in order to make it a bit more flexible, they add something to their beeswax. Crystalline, I don't remember the name, but anyway, some people add something to their beeswax in order to make it a little bit more bouncy, okay? But this is not something that I know anything about because I do not use it, okay? Now, suppliers. In Ireland, there are not that many suppliers. Now, if you sign up to my newsletter, I'm going to send it in a couple of hours, and I'm going to send you a list of suppliers, plus everything that I've been telling you about here into little bullet points, okay? Now, In Ireland, obviously everybody is very guarding the suppliers. I don't do that. Okay, I think that the more people order, the more they have. But anyway, you have the Wax Brothers in Dublin. Now they sell this yellow ones, okay, in blocks. I much prefer buying my beeswax in a pellet forms, mostly because when you're actually making your medium, it's far easier to measure up and to melt into your pan. But to each his own, really. I mean, micros, that's the one. Thank you so much. Okay, that's it. Yeah, it's when you make the your own medium, isn't it? Rabbit skin glue. That's the one. Yeah, actually Rosemary was telling me about this sleeve. I've never used it because I don't work on the dingle. Yeah, the Irish beekeepers, they have really good. Though saying that, make sure when you order from the actually it says here, the irishbeehive.com, very good company in Dingle. Now be careful when you order from them, because sometimes they run out of stock. So if you order bulk, okay, 5-10 kilos, and I would say that the beeswax about €22 for a kilo. Now they do bulk option, I think, for 25. Okay, there is also Amazon is wonderful as well in order to find beeswax. Believe it or not, amazon.co.uk in England. Actually, there's a lot of companies in the UK where you can find beeswax, and the Wax Factory is a good place to buy it, and they offer also bulk. Now don't buy 100 grams. Don't buy 100 grams. I mean, buy a kilo, because you will go through a fair bit, especially the one you need to prime. You know, I was at first 3 layers of medium first before I start any work. So you will go through a fair bit, you know, unless you work on very small works. I'm not keen on working on canvas either. No, I have never ever worked on canvas, but I've got this thing in my head right now of actually working on fabric, and it makes kind of more sculptural thing. But that's something that came into my mind this morning when I woke up. You know, when you woke up and you had that days, and I could see those beautiful kind of silk, and anyway, project something that is in my head. So these are the 2 suppliers that I would advise. The Wax Factory, I think it's on Amazon.co, waxfactory.co.uk. But anyway, you'll find them on Amazon, and the irishbeehives.com in Dingle. And I like the idea that you're buying from beekeepers, and you know, just keep them going, because it's a very precious material, beautiful and sacred. Okay, do you guys have any other questions? No. Okay, if you do not have any questions, or you can fire them in, okay, when I'm going to blather on. Next Friday. Now, next Friday is a bit different. It happened exactly in the same time, so I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I live just right on the lake here in Loch Derg, and literally the lake is in the garden, and they have just launched this new website called Loch Derg Blue Way, which is basically activities which are all around the lake. It includes Clare, Tipperary, and so on and so forth, and they are doing an open day. So my studio is on the map, which is wonderful. And we are organizing an open day on next Friday. So I've submitted an event, and which is basically a free demonstration in the studio. Okay, and it is from 11 to 12. Yes, I love doing a few things in the same time. This is great. So basically, I'm gonna have the camera live here facing me, and hopefully I'm gonna have a few people. Not too many, because I can't fit more than 10 people in here with all the stuff. I might need to clean up the studio. Anyway, basically, there's going to be a demonstration here, so I'm going to go through again things that you know already, but it's never the same with me. you switch on the camera and just like I go on and basically go through what is encaustic painting and basically do a work in front of their very eyes. So if you guys want to log in at 11 o'clock, like the fire paint sessions, it is going to be one of the fire paint sessions, join me next Friday and be fun, and I'm going to make one work and I have no idea what it's going to be like, and but it'd be mad crack. And then hopefully now there's going to be some people here and they're going to ask me questions and they're going to play blowtorch, and that's it, really. So that is my next Friday fire paint session. Now, if you want to get a recap on what I talked about today, the list of suppliers and names and links and all that stuff, just go to my website and send me a little mail and I'll send it to you. Otherwise, my subscribers, I'm going to send it around 2 o'clock this afternoon when I have it all tidied up. And what else? Oh, yes. You may know as well, I'm going to put it in, just launched my shop via my website, and so basically I've extended the early bird date for all my workshops for the summer, which is basically starting now until September, and a lot of them are filling up. I've got 2 booked out already, which is really cool. Thank you so much, guys. And so I've got an early bird price on that, so go and have a look onto my website, and I'm really proud of it. I've employed a really amazing photographer to redo all the photographs, and we had an amazing day in the studio and she did an incredible job. Her name is Aidan Curtin. I would advise her to everybody living in Ireland to have her, because she is just incredible, and she did really amazing photographs. So the website is like a splash of color. It's just so beautiful. I'm in love with it. It's not because I made it, but because I think it's pretty cool. Okay, guys, so listen, you have a good Easter. We already broke into my daughter's chocolate stash. She doesn't know anything. We hid all the wrappers, so I have to replace them today. Very bold. Okay, guys, you have a fabulous weekend, and I'll see you next Friday for the demonstration. And if you can make it to my studio, if you are local, please come over. I love that when people visit. And if you come for the free demonstration, can have a cup of tea and a chat. Okay? You have a good Easter. Bye.